Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime and it is time to brawl. It's also time for another update sneak peek and I have got a lot to show you guys. We're gonna cover 8 new gadgets, 15 new balance changes, 7 new skins, and of course everything else is coming in this update. We're gonna get started off with the new gadgets. Rosa, unfriendly bushes. When Rosa activates this gadget, all enemies hiding in the bush will take 100 damage and get slowed down for 3 seconds. Now, they only take damage that one single time when you activate the ability, so you know whether they are at that moment. So yes, they can stay hidden. However, those 3 seconds should be all that it takes for Rosa to be able to catch up to them. Mr. P, Porter Reinforcements. The next attack after Mr. P uses his gadget will spawn an extra porter where the attack lands. Now this porter can be spawned alongside porters from his super, and this actually allows Mr. P to have up to 4 porters on the field at the same time, which I personally find hilarious. I don't actually think this is likely to happen since his porters are so easy to get rid of, but if it did happen, it's going to be real pain for Mr. P's enemies. Poco, Protective Tunes. When Poco activates this ability, it removes any active adverse effects on Poco or friendly brawlers within a large radius and gives them immunity from those adverse effects for 1 second. This ability removes slows and even poisons, and it can even make Poco or close by enemies immune to stuns. However, Poco cannot activate this ability while he is stunned, so you'll have to activate this right before getting stunned. Of course, if a teammate is stunned and Poco isn't, he can remove that stun from them as long as he's close enough to them. Frank, Irresistible Attraction. After Frank activates this gadget, his next attack will pull enemies toward Frank. It has a pull strength of up to 3 tiles, and it does not work if Frank doesn't actually hit the enemy. This ability can be used to pull enemies away from the Brawl Ball, and it can even be used as a disrupt to enemy abilities that take a while to unload. Jean, Vengeful Spirits. When Jean activates this ability, Jean shoots a homing missile at all visible enemies within a very large area. Now the missiles are guaranteed to hit their target unless they are blocked by a wall. Now the damage actually scales based off of how much distance has been traveled. The homing missiles do a minimum of 320 damage and a maximum of 800 damage. Nani, Return to Sender. After Nani activates this gadget, the next time she takes damage, she will only take 20% of the damage, and the other 80% of the damage will be returned to the enemy that originally dealt it to her. If a little bit of damage is dealt to her, only a little bit of damage will be returned, but if a lot of damage is dealt to her, then a lot of damage will be returned. You'll be able to tell if Nani has her gadget activated because of this glowing shield around her. Now, one thing to note about brawlers like Shelly who deal a lot of damage, but with multiple projectiles, technically the damage that she deals is very little per projectile, and this means that Nani's ability won't be very useful and she'll end up getting blasted away. Terra, Support from Beyond. When Terra activates this gadget, she summons 3 shadow clones that attack enemies for her. However, they disappear after only 6 seconds, so they can actually usually be ignored by the enemy as long as they're outside of range. With that said, the shadows do have a very, very fast movement speed and are difficult to escape from. Tick, Last Hurrah. When Tick activates his new gadget, he becomes completely immune to damage for 1 second and then explodes for 1000 damage. I should also note that he blows close by enemies away, which means that this is going to be a great gadget for helping Tick escape enemies. This ability does not destroy walls. Now let's talk about the balance changes coming to the game, and then we'll go over the skins that are also coming in this update. Now I did want to give a huge thank you to OnePlus for sponsoring my channel. They recently released the Nord N10, which is literally the best 5G phone for its price. Link in the description of all of my videos. Amber is getting 2 buffs. First of all is a 10% attack buff from 2,800 damage per second to 3,080 damage per second. This is a fairly sizable buff to Amber and should bring her back to her former glory as a DPS brawler. She's also getting a 6.7 health buff from 4,200 to 4,480 health at max level. This will allow her to survive 1 additional ammo from 6 of the brawlers in the game, which honestly isn't a crazy big buff, but it'll at least be useful. BB is getting a 10.5% buff to her health. Her HP is going from 5,320 to 5,880 health at max level. This is going to allow her to survive 1 additional ammo from 13 of the brawlers, which is pretty significant. Carl's getting a buff to his heat ejector gadget. The damage is being buffed by 50% from 400 to 600 damage per second. I still think his flying hook gadget is going to provide a lot more versatility, but it might make heat ejector a better option when it comes to dealing damage quickly. Crow is getting 2 buffs. First of all enemies who are poisoned by Crow are now going to receive 40% reduced healing from all sources. This is going to impact self-healing gadgets like BB's or Byron's gadgets, and it's also going to impact healing from teammates like Poco or Pam. I don't see this having a huge impact on Crow's viability, but I do think it'll help him become a little bit more viable in 3v3 game modes. Crow's second buff is a buff to his super charge rate. He used to be able to charge his super with 15 daggers, and that's being improved to only 14 daggers, excluding poison. Messing with supercharge rate for Crow has historically been all that is needed to help him go from being very underwhelming to OP, so I'm really interested to see how this is going to impact him. Jean is getting an 8% buff to his attack damage. It's going from 1,400 to 1,512 damage at max level. This is going to allow Jean to take 9 brawlers out with 1 less ammo. Most notably, Jean will now be able to 3-shot brawlers with 4,480 health, like Jessie, Leon, and Max. Now Jessie is getting a buff and a nerf to her attack damage. First of all, her attack damage is getting a 21.7% buff, which is a massive buff. At max level, it's going from 1,288 to 1,568 damage. That is a massive boost to Jessie's attack damage and will allow her to take out nearly 3/4 of all of the brawlers out with 1 less ammo. That is a crazy damage buff for any brawler in the history of Brawl Stars, but to help counter that, her main attack is now going to deal 25% less damage with each additional bouncing hit. So, her first attack is going to deal 1,568 damage, her second will deal 1,176, and her third will deal 882 damage. Now, assuming that Jessie's attacks hit all 3 times, this is actually an overall 6.2% nerf to her total damage, but this is going to greatly increase Jessie's viability in the competitive meta because she'll do so much better in 1v1 situations without making her too strong in lower trophy counts. So really huge props to Supercell for figuring out a way to make Jessie more competitive. Leon is getting 2 buffs. His attack damage is getting a 4.3% buff from 644 to 672 damage at max level when he's up close to enemies. Now this won't have very many major interaction changes other than 3 brawlers that he'll now be able to 2-shot instead of 3-shot, but it will make him slightly more viable. Additionally, his super charge rate is very slightly increasing so that he can fully charge a super with 2 main attacks at close range. Before this update, 2 main attacks would leave Leon just 1 ammo shy of having a supercharged. Max's Sneaky Sneakers gadget is getting a nerf buff. The delay from when it activates is decreasing from 4 seconds down to 3 seconds. In some ways, you could consider this to be a nerf, but it's also a buff. In fact, overall, I think that it's a buff to the ability because that's another second that Max does not have to worry about dying before the ability gets activated. I'm honestly not entirely sure if this is going to make the ability much better though. Sandy's supercharge rate is getting a buff. His super is going from 6 hits required down to 5 hits required, which is going to make it much easier for Sandy to have his super more often. Sprout is getting an 8.5% buff to its attack damage. At max level, the damage from Sprout's attack is increasing from 1,316 to 1,428 damage. This is going to allow Sprout to take out 15 brawlers out with 1 less ammo, which is going to be pretty useful. I don't think that it's going to make Sprout a ton stronger, but it'll definitely be more viable. Finally, we've got Colt getting a 5.9% nerf to his reload speed from his main attack. Here you can see a before and after to give you an idea of how much of a nerf this is actually going to be to Colt's reload speed. Okay guys, now it's time for us to show the new skins coming to the game, and then we'll cover everything else coming in the update. By the way, don't forget to use code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop when you buy these skins, guys. It'll go a long way in helping support this channel. KAIROS, code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop, supporting your favorite game and your favorite content creator with just one code. First up is Dark Tide Carl, which is going to be available once the update lands. It's pretty much exactly like Captain Carl except darker and will cost 10,000 star points. Next we have Daryl, but it's a robot, except he was always a robot. This skin actually looks super awesome. It doesn't have any changes to its winning or losing animations, but when it attacks, you'll see that it fires some really awesome projectiles. This skin is going to be a Brawl Pass exclusive skin at the beginning of Season 5's Star Force Brawl Pass. I definitely think this is one of the cooler Brawl Pass skins that Brawl Stars has released, at least when it comes to the skins at the beginning of the pass. And at the end of the Brawl Pass is Ronin Ruffs. As you can see, he's a cyber samurai doggo who's ready to hack and slash his way to victory. This is his winning animation, and this is his losing animation. His attack projectiles get a bit of a rework and a cool sound effect, and for his super, he throws out his katana, which summons a supply drop. I'd say that this skin is definitely worth 150 gems, so I think that putting it at the end of the Brawl Pass is a great deal. Next, we have Navigator Colette. This skin is going to cost 79 gems and will be released on February 5th. As you can see, her scrapbook has been replaced by some sort of futuristic scanner, and her attacks have become digitized hearts, which I think looks pretty awesome. Her super still looks pretty much the same, and she didn't get any changes to her winning or losing animations. Next is Space Ox Bull. This skin is going to cost 149 gems and will be released on February 12th. This skin actually comes with some new voice lines and some cool sound effects.
I am the bull! Creepus, crawlus, maximus! I will crush you like a little bug!
In-game, his attack projectiles look super cool, and even his supercharge looks a little bit cooler as well. This is what his losing animation looks like. And this is what his winning animation looks like. Honestly, this is a super complete skin for 150 gems, and I think it is definitely worth it, especially when you use code Kairos. Next is Smooth Lou, and this skin is going to cost 79 gems and will be released on February 14th. For his attacks, he fires old-fashioned mics at enemies, and his super has a bunch of cool musical notes that dance around in a circle. His winning and losing animations are the same, but this cool cat is definitely worth it if you ask me. Next, we have Dark Lord Spike. Now, this skin is going to cost 149 gems and will be released on February 19th. This might be my new favorite skin. He throws out a creepy looking projectile that explodes on impact, and the super looks like some sort of evil abyss, which I think looks super cool. This is his losing animation, and this is his winning animation. I would be honestly willing to spend more than 150 gems on this skin, so I think that Supercell's pricing for this skin is really awesome. Now let's talk about some of the other changes coming in this update. The event selection screen is getting a rework to display content horizontally. One big change is that the map winner of the day is no longer going to be worth trophies, since previously there were often a few brawlers that could really abuse the map winner to gain way more trophies than normal. Danny also let me know that the team expects to see some more variety in there because of this change as well. Also, I should note that nearly all of the PvP maps are getting refreshed with several new maps that were actually selected from the map maker winners. Now let's take a look at this awesome new environment. If Colonel Ruffs is not in the match, he'll be watching from above, and as you move around, he'll actually look at you and follow you with his eyes, which I think looks really cool. On the side of the map are a bunch of spaceship rides, and on the top is a big screen that says "Welcome to Star Force" and "Get to the Hopper." And it looks like the name of the ride is actually going to be called Star Hopper, which is kind of interesting, kind of cool. Now here is Season 5's Brawl Pass. I didn't have time to compare it to the previous Brawl Pass like I normally do. I've been a little bit under the weather, but if there is anything worth mentioning, I'll be sure to bring it up in my 100% honest update review video in the future. If I had to guess, I'd say the Brawl Pass is likely worth just as much as the last pass. As a quick reminder, make sure you guys collect your Season 2 rewards before Season 4 ends, otherwise they will be automatically collected for you. And that is everything coming to this Brawl Stars update, guys. If you missed my sneak peeks video on Colonel Ruffs, make sure you guys check that out. Don't forget to subscribe for more Brawl Stars content, including future sneak peeks for future updates in the future. We've already determined that KairosTime is from the future. And also, I'd appreciate you guys using code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop. For now, guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.